Citizens, for every republic there comes a moment when the limits of power are tested, not in silence but upon the public stage, for all the world to see. This past week, we reached such a moment. The Supreme Court has spoken. It has drawn a clear line where, for a time, there seemed to be only fog. Once, not long ago, a president stood before the nation and claimed authority to act in the shadow of emergency, to place heavy tariffs, taxes, on goods from abroad with the stroke of a pen. He used a law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. He said this was needed to protect Americans from threats coming from other shores. Not only danger from other nations, but new ruin from drugs and from harm to our working people. But the question was never only about tariffs. It was always about power. Where does it begin? Where does it end? And who decides in the final hour what is necessary and what is not? Picture a busy port at dawn. Cranes hang above piles of imported goods. Workers stand silent, waiting, not just for the ship's bell, but for a guiding word from the nation's highest court. 6 justices agreed. The president, even when facing foreign peril, could not use emergency law to impose new tariffs without clear permission from Congress. In their words, this is not a nation where one hand, no matter how strong, should hold all the keys. Others dissented, warning that inaction now could bring risk tomorrow, lost revenue, confusion for those trading with us, a foreign threat left unaddressed. But the majority held fast, reading the law and the Constitution together, seeing in their lines a greater duty, not to expediency, but to careful order. Let me pause. This question is not really about rules on paper, nor about today's president or the next. It is about the battles between the slow workings of the people's will and the urge to act swift and alone, especially when the world seems full of danger. Think of a town council gathered around a single lantern, reading the newest laws by the trembling light, debating how much trust to place in one leader when all feel the wind changing outside. The court spoke plainly. IEEPA gives power to respond to threats in a careful way, but not the power to tax imports by executive order. Congress alone can raise money from our trade. That right belongs to the many, not the few. As I look at this ruling, I see the guardrails of our republic at work. In peace or in peril, it is not the office, but the law that must be supreme. If the president may win new powers by calling an emergency, when does the emergency end? Who, then, holds the soil steady against storms, but the boundary drawn in law? Now this ruling bears a weight measured not only in words, but in many billions of dollars. Over 200 billion in tariffs, struck down, sets to be undone. Jobs, prices, even whole businesses will watch and wait for what follows. Imagine a small-town shop where the shelves stand half-stocked, goods held back by confusion at the border. A family at their kitchen table, reading in silence the news of factories sending workers home. Down the road, truck drivers idling as shipments freeze, unsure if old debts will be repaid or if new faces will soon find work. We face not a simple question, but a tangle of consequences. Refunds not yet promised, industries unsettled, trade partners asking if America will keep her word, and still, beneath it all, the deeper current flows. What should a free nation do in an hour of uncertainty? Is safety ever worth the slow decay of our hardest-won rights? I remind you, in my own time, there was temptation to meet every threat with new force, or to let commanders act outside the old boundaries of law. But when we chose discipline over passion, order over haste, America became not just free, but worth preserving. Today we hear from many sides a clamor to act, to steady the markets, to meet foreign danger with strong hands and quick decrees. But the High Court says, let the law be the light that shows the path, not only for one day, not for one crisis, but for the years to come. Picture Congress in session, the chamber thick with debate, elected men and women reading the court's words line by line, realizing they must now step up, take clear action, write clear laws, not wait for the next wind to blow the house unmoored. You may ask, who stands to gain? And who will lose as these changes pass through the heart of our economy? Factories will weigh the cost. Importers will count their losses and wonder about refunds. Families may look to their savings and worry about another month's rent or a job sent overseas, all while their confidence in government, that invisible pillar, is put to the test. This is the price of a republic, one that stands not on a single leader's whim, but on the old promise that no office is above deliberation. Yet in this hour, even as tension swells, we can recall America's greatest strength is not the breadth of any law, nor the arm of any one authority, but the resolve of its free citizens to choose what is right, even when challenged. Let us place ourselves in the shoes of a judge, pausing with pen in hand, weighing not only what is easy, but what is just. Let us imagine a classroom, students watching the flag flap outside as the teacher explains the day's news, their questions as sharp as any lawyer's. Or picture a carpenter on a Tuesday, setting down his saw, reflecting on whether the rules his father followed will endure for his own children. In every town, the question now stirs. When a leader seeks new powers because danger is near, should we trust in his good intentions, or must we hold to the rules our founders set down, even when the wind howls and the pressure to act grows fierce? These are the choices that shape not only policy or profit, but the character of the nation itself. Imagine a bustling customs house at midday, the workers tense, waiting for word from Washington as their livelihoods hang by a thread. Picture a mother reading the newspaper at the breakfast table, her children asking if her factory job will return, or if another rule from far away will decide their fate. Across this wide republic, such moments ripple, not only in the cities where papers are printed, but in small towns where every family's fortunes tie, strand by strand, to the steady hand of law. History has seen this before. Not all news is black and white. Sometimes the struggle is not in daring action, but in the silence between a leader's pause at the edge of his own power, a court's careful reading of a well-worn page, a Congress debating late into the night as the nation waits for a sign. Let us remember, the health of a republic is measured not by the ease with which it acts, but by how it holds to principle when action is hardest, or when the crowd is loud and the answers unclear. The justices did not seek fame nor popularity, nor did those who dissented. Their duty was to the Constitution, to the quiet strength of law. Think of a judge at dusk, closing the courthouse door behind him, silhouette tall against the falling sun, knowing his pen has altered the hopes and fortunes of thousands, yet doing so in the service of something larger than himself. True order is not forged in haste, but grown day by a people who believe in debate, in limits, and in laws that hold across seasons, through fear, through doubt, and through days of ease. Citizens, we must not let the size of any crisis, nor the voice of any one man, convince us that safety and liberty are enemies. We live as free men and women, not because leaders act for us in darkness, but because their power is held, measured, and, when need be, checked by others. This ruling is more than legal argument. It is a lesson for every age. America's strength is her unity, not the command of the strongest voice, but the chorus of the people, through their Congress, through their courts, even through the heated error that sometimes attends liberty defended. Picture a flag fluttering at sunrise, outside a schoolhouse door, as children recite the pledge, learning not only the words, but the meaning behind them, that every right is precious, but so also is the careful boundary that protects it. Let us be clear, we are not called to choose between chaos and command, but to demand better from all arms of government, that Congress take up its duty, not to cast blame, but to craft clear rules, that presidents act within the limits set for their office, and in every case that the law lead rather than follow. In the months ahead, there will be hard choices. Businesses may struggle to recover. Families may wait to see if relief will arrive. Doubt will linger, and opponents will argue. Some will say the law is too slow. Others will insist it alone can guide us through the storm. But it is in these hours, when debate is sharp and hardship feels close, that we discover the meaning of the Republic. A nation that prefers slow justice to swift decree stands on firmer ground. Imagine the simplest scene. A farmer walking to the post office, envelope in hand, trusting that in his small voice, sent to his representative, the laws of the land are shaped in public, not in shadow. Whenever you doubt whether these divisions can be healed or whether the rule of law still lives, remember this: the fact that we argue, that courts decide, and that no office escapes question, this is America's lasting promise. Let us meet the coming days with the steady courage of citizens, joined not only by loss, but by hope. A hope that discipline and liberty can live together if only we guard them with care. As I look ahead, I see not only confusion, but the start of renewal. Congress, emboldened by clear boundaries, may yet rise to the task, writing laws as the people intended, the will of many, not the few. Presidents, reminded of their duty, may act not as kings, but as servants of the nation's trust. And all of us, in small ways and large, can claim our part, as guardians not just of rights, but of the patient, messy, necessary balance that defines a republic. Picture a quiet evening, a father and daughter sharing bread beside the window, light falling on a well-worn copy of the Constitution. He explains that rules matter, not because they slow us down, but because they bind us together, even in great storms. The Republic can be saved, but only if we remember that its strength does not rest with heroes alone, nor with the loudest or the swiftest, but with every citizen who demands that law, not haste, leads the way. So I ask you, when the next question comes, when another leader or crisis or law stands at the edge of what is right, will you choose the comfort of quick action or the burden and the blessing of liberty protected by patient rule? The answer is not given. It will be written not by the powerful alone, but by each of us, again and again, so long as this republic stands. What kind of nation shall we leave behind? And what kind of citizen, calm and steadfast, will you choose to be?